Mr. President, members of the forum who have been invited, the time and place of our meeting are of symbolic importance. I would like to thank you personally, all our deputies, you, Mr. President, for the invitation to participate in this forum. I am personally very pleased to see almost all the familiar faces here, with whom we used to work when I was still a very young president. You helped me a lot, I learned a lot from many of you. So I sincerely thank you for this invitation to meet with you today. We have gathered here in Stalingrad, in a city that stood in the way of the invaders with its steel, impenetrable fortress. This is where the countdown to the upcoming victory may began. It was here, in this heroic city of the Soviet people, that the main turning point in the years of the war began. Next year, we will finally break the fascist beast's back on the Kursk Arc, and it will be an irreversible victory when nothing could be changed, when there was only one way: Berlin. Our meeting is not only a tribute to the heroic past. We are addressing history in order to protect not only the future, but also the present. This is the question today. We are the heirs of the great generation, the heroes of the victors, and we have nothing to be ashamed of or to hide. This status owes a lot, but it also irritates many people. We are opposed by the descendants of the losers, supporters of the Third Reich. This is what we are talking about more and more. It was Stalingrad that received an unprecedented 200-day-long strike. Thousands of fallen heroes, everyone from a general to a soldier, understood that this was where the fate of mankind and the course of world history would be decided. Just imagine, if the fascists had won in Stalingrad, it would have been impossible for us to win this war. The planes are standing, the tanks are not moving, the cars are not moving, the motorcycles are not moving, and so on. We do not have the main oil resource, which we used to mine in the Caucasus. This is not the only thing Stalingrad values. We could not retreat any further. The next fate would be... We did not talk about the Kursk Arc. The next fate would be the issue of Moscow. That is why everyone stood firm here. And the fact that you, Mr. President, have decided that today's forum will be held here is a very accurate place. It is an accurate place to discuss the problems that we are facing, which are being imposed on us by these very descendants. That is why we stood firm on the Volga, as you said, like in the Brest fortress. General Vasily Ivanovich Chuikov wrote, "We, the living participants of the battles for Stalingrad, testify that our warriors here did not know the fear of battle, did not retreat before death, and fought with such determination that even the dead did not let their weapons out of their hands." I repeat, the dead did not let their weapons out of their hands. There is nothing to add to this. We all bow to the heroes who were able to withstand the deadly blow, to stand up and throw the enraged enemy away, driving him to Berlin. Of course, we do not forget about the help of our allies, but let's be honest. Our allies joined us when our soldier Krebet broke the fascist beast. Thousands of our compatriots from all over the Soviet Union, including Belarus, defended Stalingrad. I will name just a few of them. One of the marshals, Konstantin Rokossovsky. The heroes of the Soviet Union, pilots Nikolai Kornachanok and Ivan Pstiga. Tankmen Ivan Yakubovsky and Alexander Lyuzhukov, artillerymen Vladimir Taranovich and Israel Beskin, infantrymen Vladimir Martinkevich and Vikenty Skriganov, Belarusian Alexei Vashchenko, who covered the enemy's Zut with his body, one of the streets of the present-day city of Volgograd, bears his name. Thank you for remembering the memory of the numerous heroes and liberators, among whom the Belarusians keep the Hall of Military Glory at the Mamayev Kurgan. These are our common heroes. That is why the Kurgan of Glory under Minsk keeps the land from different corners of the Soviet Union, where the fiercest battles took place. We preserve a part of Stalingrad in the very center of our capital, on the Victory Square. Bricks from the legendary Pavlov House are laid at the base of one of the buildings on the Independence Avenue. These are sacred relics for us. All Belarusians know about it. And we know that the entire Soviet people won the victory under Stalingrad. Everyone who worked for the needs of the Red Army in the deep rear, drawing the attention of the enemy and undermining the military potential of the Wehrmacht from the inside. It was there, in the rear of the enemy, that a real second front was opened, not by the Americans and the French. And it was the answer to the monstrous crime of Nazism. The prosecutor's office of Belarus has been investigating the terrifying facts of the genocide of the Belarusian people for several years. We are uncovering new facts of crimes. Thousands of burnt and tortured women, old people, children. Our military scientists are removing the remains of babies, pressed in the mother's breasts from the ground. Children were killed in every pit. Only families were destroyed. The methods of execution are terrifying. People were forced to lay on their own corpses to put as many bodies as possible in the pit. They were thrown grenades to make it even worse. We are raising testimonies of how pregnant women were burned alive. Their heads were smashed with a stocking. Newborns were thrown into the windows of burning houses. Babies were thrown. They were caught with bayonets. Mothers who saw it went crazy. They hunted like animals. Previously, these documents were classified. It was not customary in Soviet times to say that Lithuanian, Latvian, Ukrainian Nazis demonstrated special cruelty. And today, in the Baltic countries and in Ukraine, young people are waving the SS division banners, erecting monuments to fascist executioners. And all this is done with the silent consent of the rest of the West. But we should not be silent. That is why we have gathered here today. Western specialists in Belarusian history, in our Soviet, Russian, and Russian history, write that we are too pathetically telling stories about our heroes. We are exaggerating the scale of their feat. We are being hinted that we should talk about our own bad people and not to forget about the good Germans. We are being taught pseudo-objectivity from overseas. The ambassadors of the European Union countries today are shamefully laying flowers in Katyn without lighting in the media. They hide the faces from the cameras of journalists. Poland is holding an event aimed at the liberation of the Red Army prisoner Oswiecim without our participation. German media report that this concentration camp was liberated, listen, by American troops. In short, everything is being done to erase the memory of the great victory of our victors. Today we have gathered here people who do not need to be convinced of anything. Our generation, with the President of Russia, Vladimir Vladimirovich, has grown up listening to the stories of the frontliners, our parents, and those who survived the occupation. It is more difficult to agree with the generation born and raised in the 1990s. It is more difficult to agree. The worldview of the perestroika children was formed at the peak of the revanchist propaganda. A lot was done to discredit the Red Army. Partisan movements, resistance movements on our land, the abilities of Nazi criminals did not reach everyone, but their ideas penetrated into individual heads. And this is a lesson. You and I need to do even more to protect historical memory. You can never relax, you can't believe in any repentance, only in real things. And this is very relevant, not only for us, the President, today when we are promised a lot. Well, maybe not everything yet. Everyone knows. You will soon find out. But I will not do what the President of Russia used to say. I can only quote him. We will be deceived again. Therefore, only business, only facts. You to us, we to you. You taught us this. This is not our formula of relations. You taught us this. Well, if you want it this way, please, we can do it this way. Numbers and facts are important, very important, but emotions and meanings are even more important. And military chronicles, without censorship. I may say an unpopular thing, but it is not the time to discuss the traumatized psyche of children.